Sewing instructions for the Textile 7 DIY hook bag. In this lesson, we will cover Step 1. Cut out the paper pattern. Step 2. Cutting requirements for the hook bag. Step 3. Preparation of pieces. Step 4. Zipper attachment. Step 5. Main body construction. Cut out all the paper pattern pieces. Start with a pre-bought quilted fabric or a home-sewn quilted fabric piece that is large enough to cut out 2 pieces in the front and back bag pattern. Cutting requirements for the hook bag. Cut 2 of the front and back in a quilted fabric. Cut 1 in the stripe. Cut 1 in cardboard. I use cereal box cardboard. Have the shortcut label ready. Cut 1 in the iron-on interfacing. Preparation of pieces. Nick all the notches. Take the front bag stripe and stripe interfacing pattern pieces out. Use your fabric marker to mark dots on the fabric, corresponding to the circles on the pattern. I use a pin and punch through the pattern and mark in this way, also mark in the circles on the interfacing. Take the patterns off, align the dot markings and notch, and face the shiny side of the interfacing down onto the stripe. Iron on the interfacing to the front bag stripe, matching up the circle markings on both the stripe and iron-on patterns. Turn the stripe over and mark in the circles on the front with a fabric marker. Take your label out. Notice the dots on either side of the dotted lines. Roll the fabric over until the dotted line is behind the label and crease with your fingers. Do this to both top and bottom lines. Do not iron the front of the label as the letters will burn off. Line up the label dots with the marked in dots on the stripe and pin into position. You can check it's perfectly aligned by holding your pattern over and placing the piece above the label. You'll notice the back of the interfacing goes past the label position for strength and stability. Sew the label in place top and bottom using a straight stitch 1 mm in from the folded edge. Notice I sew from the same side for both lines, just in case the label moves down a touch while under the machine foot. It should move equally on both sides if this happens. Once the label is on, you shouldn't see the dotted lines anymore. Turn the front stripe piece over to the back and iron the 2 seam allowances in. Please make sure you do not place an iron on the front of the label, as the label letters will burn off. You can see from my example, I placed an iron lightly on the label and the dotted lines started to disintegrate. To accurately mark in the seam allowance, I have faced the stripe down and placed the pattern piece back over the top with the seam allowance folded down and drawn the line in. Iron in the seam allowance on both sides. The stripe is now prepped, ready to go. Finish the edges on the 2 large bag pieces. Options for edge finishes are zigzag or serger. I have chosen to use a 4-thread serger finish for mine. Take one of the front and back pieces out and align the nicks from the stripe to the nicks in the quilted fabric and pin both pieces together, top and bottom. Run your fingers over the stripe to make sure it's sitting flat. Now it's sitting perfectly. Pin the bottom left corner up and 1 mm past the top label edge and back down to the other bottom corner. Start sewing using straight stitch 1 mm out from the folded edge. Sew from the left corner, up past the label, and then back down to the right corner. Think about your hand position. Your dominant hand steers and the other hand is in charge of the pace, moving the fabric under the needle. Notice when I approach the bulk from the layers of label fabric, I stop, readjust the foot to sit properly over the bulk and continue sewing slowly for this section. Make sure to sew 1 mm past the label before you pivot and sew along the top line. Then pivot again and back down to the right corner and stop. The unsewn top end of the stripe should look like this. Keep it pinned closed for now. Zipper attachment. Take one of the large bag pieces and the zipper. Fold the zipper in half and pin in the halfway point. Do the same with the large bag piece and pin it in at the halfway point. Notice I am working on the bag with the label on the right side. Make sure the zipper head is also to the right, so the label and zipper head are on the same side. Take out the pattern and mark in the seam allowance of 15 mm on the top edge to help with the zipper placement. Take the zipper and roll the zipper over so it's face down, touching the quilted fabric, and line up the halfway pins and pin through both layers. Pin into position on the 15 mm seam allowance line. From this middle pin, pin down the rest of the zipper tape. If you are unsure where to pin, the zipper tape has weave lines running through it. The line you are looking for is 1 mm out from the zipper teeth. Notice, once it's pinned and I roll the zipper back, it sits perfectly in position. With the zipper foot on the machine, straight stitch on the pin line using a 2.5 stitch length. Notice when I approach the zipper head, I put my needle down and take the foot up, slide the zipper down, and then, with the foot back down, continue to sew in a straight line. I have changed my top thread colour to match the fabric for the top stitching. Roll the sewn zipper side underneath and pin from the top, feeling with your fingers to catch the seam allowance on the back. When you roll the zipper tape under, try and get the top seam as flat as possible for a sharp straight line. With the zipper foot still attached, sew a 1/4 inch in from the zipper teeth, catching all the layers underneath in this top stitch. Mine is actually 1 mm too far away, and consequently I didn't catch all the zipper tape underneath. Take the other side out and mark in the seam allowance of 15 mm. Pick the front bag up and place it face down on the back piece with the right sides of the fabric touching each other on the inside, lining up both back and front side edges. Take the unattached zipper side and place the zipper in alignment with the front bag position and pin in on the seam allowance. Notice I keep checking the bag sides to see that they are perfectly lined up. Pin down the zipper like the first side. It should look like this from behind, and this from the front. Sew down the zipper line. Notice, I moved the zipper head out of the way twice to keep my line of stitches as straight as possible. Roll the seam allowance back and pin down to create the top stitching line, catching both the layers of quilted fabric as well as the zipper tape. So straight stitch a 1/4 inch in from the zipper teeth to catch all the layers. Main body construction. With the bag almost complete, it's now time to attach the 7 hook and insert the cardboard. Take your pre-cut cardboard piece out and insert it in the bottom end of the stripe. Push it up until it sits behind the top of the label. This gives the bag this lovely formal finished look, and pin across the bottom stripe end. Go to the top end of the stripe and unpin the edge and thread the 7 hook into the section of loose fabric. Notice the 7 is turned and facing towards the zipper head. Once the 7 is in place, pin the edge closed. Use a piece of masking tape to hold down the 7 away from the stitch line. With the zipper foot still attached, sew a holding stitch across the stripe inside the seam allowance space. Fold the hook bag with the right sides facing in and line up the front and back side seams perfectly. With the bag folded together, make sure the metal zipper sits directly on the top and pin closed the side seams using a 15mm seam allowance. Pin the other side exactly the same. This will close the cardboard in as well. With the zipper foot still on, straight stitch a 15mm seam allowance on both sides of the hook bag. Make sure to back stitch at the start and finish of each line of stitching. Thread your hand through the bottom of the bag and open the zipper. Pin up and sew across the base. Straight stitch with a 15mm seam allowance and regular foot. Now the hook bag is ready to turn through. Notice I grab a corner and twist it rather than pulling it through, twisting it slowly through to keep the cardboard straight and to protect it from bending. Push out the corners with a pointed tool. I use scissors and pop the ends of the zipper to secure a neat corner. Push out the seams to give the hook bag its full finished shape, and finally thread on the zipper pull to the zipper donut ring. The hook bag is ready to fill with your shortcuts.